Has the Zonai tribe, Breath of the Wild's biggest mystery, finally been revealed to us in Breath of the Wild 2's newest trailer? I don't think so, and here's why. Ever since I first heard about the Zonai and saw their handiwork was hiding all over Breath of the Wild's Hyrule, I wanted to be a believer. The potential here from a narrative standpoint is amazing. There are so many ways you could tie up this mysterious lost tribe into the already existing continuity, and even the expanding story of the sequel. There is a reason that almost every one of my theories for Breath of the Wild 2 up to this point have mentioned this group in some respect. They are a massive blank slate on Hyrule, and a prime suspect to begin building a follow-up to the original game. From anyone's point of view, it's easy to see that a sequel's main focus should be on answering questions the audience still has after the first experience. That's what we call a sequel hook, and to many, Breath of the Wild's biggest unanswered question is the Zonai tribe, a mysterious group of people that disappeared off the face of Hyrule long ago, but still left quite a meaningful impact on the land. Now, I want to bring up something about the Zonai that I see commonly overlooked these days, and that's how their rise to popularity in the Zelda theory community didn't really begin until after Breath of the Wild 2's reveal. From March 2017 to June 2019, sure, there were some smart cookies picking up on this intricate rabbit hole of background lore that was the Zonai. Still, their popularity and mainstream community acknowledgement didn't come until the sequel was announced, and it happened to have some familiar structures and symbols visible in the background. This was when Zonai fever started to reach its peak, because there was some tangible evidence that this huge background detail in Breath of the Wild could become something more than that. It could actually be our sequel hook. You see, the Zelda series has a history of leaving super interesting background details and plot points, for the most part, unexplored. So why would we assume the Zonai would be any different, that their story would actually be told? Well, it all hinges on the reveal trailer for the sequel. That's what really ignited this discussion about the Zonai tribe. As a direct sequel, Breath of the Wild 2, unlike a lot of Zelda games, has a chance to follow up on its unanswered questions. And that's where this whole situation gets really interesting, because we are kind of entering uncharted territory in that respect. A direct sequel, not even in a pseudo-sense of Majora's Mask or Phantom Hourglass, but a full-on direct continuation. This is the same Hyrule, but expanded upon. So you might think that everything I've said so far paints a pretty good picture for the Zonai tribe to appear in Breath of the Wild sequel. And yeah, that has been my viewpoint for the majority of time since this game was revealed. But here's the kicker. The second trailer. I talked earlier about how Breath of the Wild 2's reveal trailer is actually what kind of kickstarted the more significant wave of Zonai theories, but I see trailer 2 as kind of closing the floodgates that the first trailer opened. There is little direct Zonai imagery in this trailer. No proudly displayed swirls or easily identifiable architecture of their creation. The closest we get is Link's new flamethrower shield attachment looking notably similar to a Zonai dragon statue. But that could easily be a new obtainable item for Link without an appearance from the tribe behind its design. The majority of the landscape design in this trailer looks new to me. These islands lean a lot more into a stone block design than the Zonai ruins of Breath of the Wild. Now granted, there are some similarities here, like this condensing block design, but to be honest with you, we see this design all over the Zelda series. While one could make the argument that the differences we see here are because those ruins and these new structures are one and the same, just in their original pristine state, because blah 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 time travel mumbo jumbo, I still don't see it. Just looking at these designs side by side, I don't see much of a resemblance. And I guess that leads us to this big fella, what many think could be a form of Zonai technology. While albeit to a lesser extent, I do feel the same way when it comes to this machine. The designs here are just a little too different for me to call them one and the same. So did this trailer actually nail the coffin shut in regards to the possibility of a Zonai appearance in this game? Are they doomed to forever remain nothing but an interesting background detail? As lead artist on Breath of the Wild Makoto Yonezu said, Zonai is an anagram of the Japanese word for mystery. Maybe this was one mystery that was never meant to be solved. But wait. Even if the Zonai tribe doesn't make an appearance in Breath of the Wild 2, that still leaves us with one big question. Who is behind this new architecture, this golem design, and the islands that have now appeared above the skies of Hyrule? Well, I have 3 theories, so let's just go ahead and dive into them. You know, I couldn't help but think back to last year when making this video, and the lead up to Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity before launch. In the game's 4th trailer, we were briefly introduced to this hooded figure, and speculation about their identity started to run wild. I even made a whole video breaking down 7 different theories behind them, the majority of which dove into their potential connection to already established Zelda characters such as Yuga, Girahim, Vati, and much more. But as we now know, in the end, this character turned out to be Aster, a brand new villain that served under Ganon. So why do I bring all this up? What's the correlation with the Zonai tribe and Breath of the Wild 2? Look at it like this. With Aster, many theories expected the character to be some connection to the past, maybe a reincarnation of an old villain. But as I explained in that same video, that's seldom happened before in the Zelda series. Most of these side villains are one and done stories, and it seems that Aster turned out to be just another in that line. Compare that to the many mystery tribes of the Zelda series. For example, the Sheikah, Ancient Ones, Twilight, the Dark Tribe, Subrosians, Oka, the Wind People, Interlopers, and even more. All of these are groups that have appeared briefly to serve their original narrative purpose, and while they might hold a lot of untapped potential to be further explored, that seldom happened. Instead, these groups are retired and replaced game to game with a brand new mysterious tribe waiting in the wings to take their place. That's how we've gotten to the point that there's so many. Now, to be fair, I have mentioned that a sequel as directly tied to its predecessor as Breath of the Wild 2 seems to be, is new for Zelda, and that comes after a game that was already the series' biggest shakeup since Ocarina of Time. On top of that, there are no set-in-stone rules on what the Zelda team can and cannot do. What looked like an example of these forgotten tribes in the Rito did break the mold and reappear as one of the main races in Breath of the Wild. With my line of thinking, I'm just trying to go off the past to predict the future as best I can. And based on the patterns I've seen, and even as recent as the speculation with Aster last year, I think there is a strong chance a brand new civilization might be behind everything we see floating in Breath of the Wild 2. Okay, so now that we got, in my opinion, the most likely reality out of the way, let's disregard what the past tells us and have some fun for a bit. So when listing off tribes of Hyrule earlier, you might have remembered that 2 sky-based races already exist within the Zelda series, the Wind Tribe and the Oka. It's even possible that these 2 are one and the same species, with their similar story of ascending to the sky, connections with the residents of Hyrule's surface, and their advanced technology. Their quite differing appearances might have something to say about that theory, but nevertheless, the similarities are there. We're going to be focusing in particular on the Wind Tribe with this theory, because while both already have a decent basis for a connection just based on being a civilization in the sky, the Wind Tribe can take its connection even further. See, I don't know about you, but when I look at these Wind Tribe constructed locations, the Wind Ruins, the Fortress of Winds, and even their own palace, I see a lot more similarities in their architecture and that of the trailers than I do with the Zonai. They still share the same condensing block design, probably even more prominently than it is seen in Zonai structures, and the block-based structures of this trailer fit the Wind Tribe's design much more than the Zonai in my opinion. Another thing I wanted to address is what you might be saying to yourself, a tribe with a small part in one of the lowest selling 2D Zelda games not developed by Nintendo, but Capcom and released on a handheld. Why would Nintendo choose this group out of the bunch to give a significant role in Breath of the Wild's sequel? Well, it could just be that their domain aligned with where development took the sequel, or it could be a certain director playing favorites. Breath of the Wild's director Hidemaru Fujibayashi got his start working on Zelda when he was still at Capcom. That's right, Fujibayashi was at the helm as director on the Oracle games, Four Swords, and Minish Cap. We even know from Breath of the Wild concept art that the Minish themselves almost made it into Breath of the Wild. So I'd go as far to say that there is even a bit of a precedent here for Minish Cap influence in this upcoming game. Finally, one last point I want to put in the Wind Tribe's favor comes from the symbols we see in Breath of the Wild 2's trailer, specifically here and here. First, consider the symbol on the back of Link's new shield. This could easily be a similar situation to Breath of the Wild's Traveler's Shield, whose design is all for aesthetics, but I don't know. This shield gives way more intentional crest vibes to me than just a random design. When scouring the rest of the series for similarities to this design, the closest matches I could find were the Sheikah eye and Vati's eye symbol. With the Sheikah already playing such a large part in Breath of the Wild, it's easy to see how this symbol might relate to them. But Vati? Well, I'll admit I don't think there is an intentional connection between this symbol and Vati's. It is another potential Minish Cap reference. The second symbol seen in Breath of the Wild 2's trailer, however, has very little in common with anything we've seen before. It's displayed proudly on the center of this golem and seems to depict a broom with a yellow ring descending from it, surrounded by indecipherable glowing green runes. There is nothing I can say about this symbol in relation to already existing ones without making some huge stretch. But I can say it prominently features a broom, an object often depicted alongside wind, for its association with flying. So I wanted to save this theory for last because I didn't want to leave off this video totally shattering the hopes of all those holding out to see the Zonai further explored in Breath of the Wild 2. Because while I've said my piece on why I don't think everything we see in the second trailer was the work of the Zonai as we see them in Breath of the Wild, that doesn't mean the Zonai tribe isn't still behind these floating islands. Some of you might see where I'm going with this if you've watched my Ganondorf's army theory from last year, but if not, let me break down the basics for you. I believe it's possible that the Zonai tribe isn't just one group of people, but actually two. This would explain the conflicting messages in the rumors about the tribe. Some say they were powerful barbarians with a stronghold in Faerun. Others say they were great magicians and architects. I don't exactly see those traits as going hand in hand. So my theory is the Zonai tribe are two different tribes that over time were wrapped into one legend. One that thrives off the arts such as magic and advanced architecture, and the other that thrives off conquest and warfare. In the Ganondorf's army theory video where I first coined this idea, I explored the possibility of Zonai ruins all around Hyrule telling the story of both these tribes. But now that we have the second trailer, I'd like to present a new take. What if every structure we saw in the original Breath of the Wild was all the result of one tribe, and the sequel's newest trailer is just now introducing us to the handiwork of the second? The warmongering Zonai tribe of the surface, and the magic-wielding Zonai scientist of the sky. This theory even plays very nicely into everything we've seen so far from a story and gameplay perspective. All signs currently seem to be pointing towards time travel playing a substantial role in this game. This will allow us to explore the new Zonai-based frontier of Hyrule Sky, as well as return to the surface of Hyrule in a period where the Zonai tribe seen in Breath of the Wild runs free, conquering Hyrule through their own conquest. Who knows, maybe there could even be a section of the game set from Zelda's perspective in the present, where she explores the dark cavern she falls into to uncover the truth of what happened to the Zonai tribe to wipe them from history. The more I think about it, the more I start to really dig this idea. It explains the discrepancies of these two architectural designs. It gives a reason for both Hyrule's surface and sky in the game's story, and it sets up so many potential ways to take this game's plot. So have the Zonai been revealed in Breath of the Wild 2's most recent trailer? Can we say with certainty that they are responsible for the floating islands we see here? Well, I personally don't think so. But as we explored in today's theories, anything is possible. And there is still so much potential to the stories this tribe could help the Zelda team tell. Who's really behind all the new elements introduced to Hyrule in this most recent trailer is anyone's guess. I just hope that whatever the answer ends up being, it takes Breath of the Wild 2's story and gameplay in exciting new directions. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You don't know just how much that helps me, and it's just a small little thing you can do, and it makes it so that you can keep up when I put out new videos and everything. And if you enjoyed this video, you're probably going to enjoy some of the other ones, so thank you guys ahead of time for doing that. Beyond that, I want to hear opinions. As always, I love hearing your guys' opinions. Put them down in the comments below. What did you think of each theory? Which one do you like the best? Do you hate them all? If you do, maybe don't tell me that. And let me know if you have any theories of your own about who are behind the sky, the floating islands, who done it, why do they fly, and what's the deal with the Zonai? That's the question of the day every day. So let me know all that down below. Just go ahead and write me a whole thesis in the comments section down below. That's I'd appreciate that. Finally, as always, you can follow me on Twitter at XenogamerYT, join the Discord server with the link in the description below, and come on by the Twitch streams on Fridays on Twitch. Thanks for stopping by today, guys. I hope you have a good one, and I will see you soon with more videos. Until then, have a tremendous day, my friends. Bye-bye.